Hey BookTube, let's wrap up September's paranormal, romance, fantasy stuff.
I got my ticket for the long way round.
I read some pretty decent stuff in September for paranormal and fantasy, so let me just tell you what they were. Let's start off with Magonia. This is by Maria Headley Davhana, and it is narrated on audio by Therese, Plummer, and Michael Crouch. I really have to rave about Therese Plummer. She is so good, and I've listened to some other things by her before, and in this particular book, the story, I don't know, the story didn't wow me, but her narration wowed me. And you know, anytime that happens, it just makes the story all the better. A good narrator can really do that to an average story. It made it above average. But there's a scene in this book where there's a death and some people are saying goodbye, and it's so emotional, and she captured it just so beautifully. So really, really excellent narration. And Michael Crouch was very, very good as well. That whole section of the book that he narrates is a dual POV, and he just does an amazing job with it. So very, very good narration that made probably a below average book, at least up to average and maybe a little above. This story is probably best summed up by saying alien bird people in the sky. This story has a synopsis that leads you to believe it's about a girl who can't breathe, but she thinks she hears voices from the sky talking to her. And okay, that can kind of go towards contemporary mental illness, or you know, physical illness, or some sort of thing like that on a contemporary level. This is not what the book is. It is much more of a fantasy story about a race of beings that live in the sky, and they can't breathe because the air is too thick down here in the atmosphere. And so they live kind of up in the upper atmosphere. And this girl, you know, clearly she can't breathe, so I'll let you figure that out. But anyway, that kind of is what the story turns into. The plot kind of meandered all over the place, and it hit about the average mark for me. I didn't think it was really great, so I gave it 3 stars. The Bronze Blade by Elizabeth Hunter. This is book 2.5 in the Elemental Mystery series, and it's a novella that tells us Tenzin's story. Tenzin is a vampire. She is Chinese or Mongolian. I don't know. She's really, really old, and so you get the impression that her story begins like prehistorically, like before the Mongols and Genghis Khan, that kind of era and area of the world. But anyway, it's just her story, it's her backstory, and it is full of brutality and rape and abuse and gore and murder and pretty much horrible things in general. She was treated so badly that it drove her insane at one point, and then she was able to come back from that after many, many years, because vampires are immortal. She just sat like in a cave for many years. So it's all about her story, and so it kind of just fills in the blanks for you, but it is horrific. So, you know, be aware there are some scenes in it that if you don't want to know about that stuff, she's a character that you get to know fairly well in the series anyway. So anyway, she's a delightful little person modern day, but boy has she come a long way. So I gave that one 4 stars. The Invasion of the Tearling by Erika Johansen. This is the sequel to The Queen of the Tearling, and it was narrated on audio by Davina Porter. Initially, the first book was narrated by Katherine Kellgren, and so Davina Porter is a change in narrator, and an excellent change. She is phenomenal as a narrator. But for me, she also narrated the whole Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon, and the main character in that is Claire Fraser. So the voice of Claire Fraser was telling me the story of the Invasion of the Tearling. So I had to kind of get past that, but it was easy to do because Davina Porter is just so talented as a narrator. So that was kind of a delight to get to experience. This alternated between the past and the present, and it really gave us the history of how the land of the Tearling came to be. And you finally get the backstory. It explains a lot of why the Tearling is in the state it's in, and where they came from and who they're descended from and all that kind of thing. It answers a lot of questions. I thought the pacing on this one was a little bit off, but it had an excellent ending, and so I gave it 4 stars. The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. This is book 1 in the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy, and it was narrated on audio by Jennifer Ikeda. Jennifer Ikeda is an amazingly talented narrator, and I really enjoyed the voice that she gave to the main character here, whose name is Elisa. She is spoiled and a little bit self-indulgent, and this is the story of how she realizes her potential and kind of rises to the occasion in terms of leading her nation and influencing those around her, becoming a leader. It does have a sad ending. I don't know where the next book is going to go. This is a published series. It's all done now. So that is nice because I can go straight to the next book. I gave this one 4 stars. The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. By the way, I looked up how to pronounce her name, and that's how you do it. This is narrated on audio by Ariana Delawari, but I did not like her narration, really. It didn't mesh with me. I don't know why, but I found it a little bit slow and I sped it up, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't capture the characters for me. So I switched over to an ebook. This is a very loose retelling of the Arabian Nights. The main character was not overly likable, I have to say. There are moments when I think she is a little impetuous and a little arrogant. She's in a bad situation and she's doing a noble thing. So, you know, I suppose you can give her a pass for that reason. But it has an amazing romantic lead, a wonderful slow burn romance, and a great plot. And although it ends openly, so there's room for a sequel, I think this is a good standalone. So I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. Darkening the Stars. This is book 3 in the Cricket series by Amy A. Bartol, and it was narrated on audio by Kate Rudd. This book had everything going for it. Amy A. Bartol, the Cricket series, and Kate Rudd. Kate Rudd is amazing. And you know, I rave about her all the time, but she really is amazing. Anytime you can get a book that she narrates, you are guaranteed that it's going to be wonderful. And I love this series. I have done a review about this series, and I'll link that below. But oh my gosh, this 3rd book, I had a few problems with this book. I felt like the story went a direction, first of all, that I didn't really expect for it to go, but it was okay that it went that way. What I had a problem with was the way that the character didn't behave in a way that was kind of in line with how she had been established in the previous 2 books. This is a girl who is able to fend for herself, and she's very independent, and she's very self-sufficient, she's very quick thinking on her feet, and you know, I felt like we kind of laid all that groundwork with her personality in the first 2 books, and then with this 3rd book, she turned into somebody I didn't really know anymore. But the reason for that is because she is the person that is the one person that everybody is willing to sacrifice. So she has to really struggle with her identity and her value as a person and find that within herself. And so the ending of the series and the ending of this particular book were appropriate but not satisfying. I don't think that it met what we all expected, you know. So it was a happily ever after of sorts, I will tell you that. But I talk more about this in my review, so I'll leave it at that. I did give it 4 stars on the merits of the entire series. So yeah, I think that's a series worth picking up, but beware of that 3rd book. And lastly, The Fold by Peter Clines. This is narrated on audio by Ray Porter, and I had never heard anything narrated by Ray Porter. I found him to be very, very good for this book. I did speed him up, and it worked perfectly. You know, I'm finding I speed everybody up these days. Even Kate Rudd, 1.25 speed. Thank you, Apple, for coming out with that new updated OS that allows us these little increments of speed, which is wonderful. This was an interesting book. It's sci-fi, straight sci-fi, and it's all about Mike Erickson, who has that condition where he remembers every single thing he's ever heard, looked at, read, experienced in any way. He remembers it just like to the point where at one point in the book, it's evening and he settles back to watch Spider-Man, I think it is, one of the Spider-Man movies in his head because he can remember the entire thing. So he just kind of enjoys thinking about it, I guess. I don't know, watches it like a movie. Really interesting. But it's all about wormholes and creating a wormhole that will get you from one place to another very quickly. And of course, you know, stuff goes wrong and it turns into alternate dimensions and huge adventurous story. So it's really good, keeps you on the edge of your seat, and I really liked it. I thought it ended well. There's a Men in Black kind of aspect to the ending that I really liked. I love the characters. This was not something I really expected to love as much as I did, but I really did like it. So 4 stars. And that wraps up all the paranormal and fantasy that I read in September. And of course, if you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of them because I would love to hear your thoughts. And that's it for now for me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.
When I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.